Previously on Mowers and Blowers.
That's right. At Mowers and Blowers, lawn tractors are pushed into my garage, come out running. I drive them out of my garage. How many episodes do you think it'll take for this one? I can guarantee you it's not going to be 9 episodes. Actually, maybe I shouldn't say guarantee. I don't want to jinx myself. Then again, LT1000s are a lot more easier to work on. So I really don't think it'll take 9 episodes to get this one. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Stay tuned for this fix. Once again, I'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. So as you guys saw, I moved this thing from the backyard. I don't know, I got a couple of push mowers I still got to fix, but you know what? I've had like 3 or 4 push mowers in a row, so I guess I'll work on this next, you know? That'll be the next episode.
Yo.
Hey, look who's here! Look who's here, guys!
What's up, Henry?
Scared the crap out of me, man. What's up?
How's it going, man?
Hey, guys, it's Larry and Bob! Hey! Hey, guys, get in the picture here. Oh, what is this?
That's candy.
Oh, my God, you know, I just finished eating the stuff you brought me last time, like a week ago, man. I was waiting. I haven't seen these guys in like a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
You know I'm filming, right? Anyway, listen. What are you doing here, man? I'm just going to let it roll.
Bob, what do you call these?
Mounds bars.
Mounds
They're
bars.
coconut.
I love coconut. I love coconut, thank you.
No, I haven't seen you in a while. I finished up some work. I said, you want to take a ride, go bust Henry's balls?
Hey, you didn't just make these for me, did you?
Absolutely.
Tell me you made more for other people and you said, hey,
Well,
let's give Henry some.
that's exactly what happened.
Oh, thank you very much. I love it.
I made it for Teresa, and there was some left.
Hello, Moto.
Hello, Moto.
What's up, man? What are you doing here?
I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. We finished up some work. I said, let's go break Henry's chops, you know? And,
But
you know,
there's
but
always a reason to come.
You
need
need
something.
some parts, right?
Absolutely.
I just
Working
need
on a project?
I just need a small part. It's very small. It's like, if I go buy it on eBay or something, it's going to be like $6, $7.
That's ridiculous.
I said, let me go see Henry, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Henry's got parts. He never throws anything away.
Yeah, you got parts, pal.
All right, what is it?
You know that retention clip on the top of a Briggs starter? It's like a little...
Yeah. It's like a C-clip. It's almost like a hard wire. Bro, I think I have an old starter right here. Oh, sons of bitches. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the starter.
Like this one right here, right? You mean the C-clip that's right there?
Exactly.
All right, here. You want it?
The whole starter?
Well, I mean, I could use this and that, but if you need the C-clip, I mean...
I'll take it off.
Yeah, but you can't use it, though.
What's wrong with it?
The whole bottom part's missing. You know
Why?
what? You know what? This starter is Dunsky!
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, that Dunsky was for Larry's girlfriend, Kristen. Hey guys, how you doing? It's Henry and Mowers and Blowers. Today is Saturday. What other day is it? That's right. It's championship weekend for college football. As you guys know, I'm a big Oklahoma Sooners fan because that's where I was born. I've been following the Sooners since I was a little kid. My dad actually got his PhD from Oklahoma as well as my aunt. So I have a big loyalty to Oklahoma. So go Sooners. And even better is, today is the Big 12 championship when Oklahoma takes on Baylor. That's number 6 Oklahoma versus number 7 Baylor. Oklahoma beat Baylor slim margin just a few weeks ago, and today they're playing for the Big 12 championship. what's even more exciting is that last night, number 5, Utah, was beat by number 13, Oregon. So now Utah is out. 2-loss team. So the winner, I think, of the Big 12 championship today at 12 o'clock is going to decide the 4th spot in the national championship playoff. If Oklahoma wins, Oklahoma plays Ohio State. It's going to be a tall order. Anyway, I'm excited to watch. It's in a couple of hours. I'm going to try to get as much done on this thing today before I go in and watch that. And then after that, it's LSU versus Georgia. That has major implications as well. So, this I got through a trade. It is the 2 remaining non-running lawn tractors I have in my possession. I got this through a trade. It was the same trade where I got the Red Max backpack leaf blower, the John Deere mini trailer. So it turned out to be a decent trade for me after all, even though I really gave away a perfectly running tractor, you know, for basically a trailer full of crap, you know. It's taken a long time to fix that trailer full of crap, but, you know, at least I got that Red Max thing out of the trade, you know what I mean? I won't be doing any more of those kind of trades. But anyway, this is the Craftsman. It's an older LT1000-like thing. I don't even know if they called it LT1000 back then. But this has a 1999 sticker. So it's not that old. It's got a really good seat. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but it's got no rips on it. And it's one of those better quality seats that they made, you know? It doesn't have that crazy plastic vinyl lip that comes over and you've got that like coping that you put over it. The one that you'll lose your mind if you try to put that back again. You know what I'm talking about, and it's crazy. Look, got the hard plastic shell backing. And for you enthusiasts, that's right. Let's not put it that way. Let's put it this way and confuse everybody. As you can see from the model number, March 12th. Well, where is it? There. March 12th, 99. So it's not that old. So my last video, where I actually finally got my Troy-built 9-episode series done, right? I mean, I could still use 6-point blades and a new spindle maybe to get that running absolutely perfectly. Surprisingly though, I'm very happy about the fact that Troy-built has the smoky engine in it. The one that I replaced the piston and ring on, that's a 21 horsepower Intech. The reason why I got it was because Nick from Medford didn't want it because it smoked like crazy. After I changed the valve seal on it, it still smoked like crazy. So I was going to just like part it out and throw it away, you know, or sell the parts on eBay. I don't really throw things away. But changing a piston and rings really worked. So that smoky engine no longer smokes. However, it does do a puff of smoke when you do a startup. So you know what I'm going to try on that when I remember next spring, right? I was watching a video last night, just browsing through YouTube, you know, and there was a guy who had a video. It was very interesting because I was looking through some of the Lucas Oil stuff. As you guys know, Lucas Oils has been one of my my best sponsor by far. You know, they're so generous and they have high quality products, which is why I can't say anything bad about them. They have never failed me yet on anything they've ever sent me. Everything has always worked perfectly. So this video was about a guy who had a John Deere, I forget what model, but it was a decent tractor, you know what I mean? And it had a Kohler V-twin in it, right? And so every time he turned on the engine, right, there'd be this puff of poof smoke that came out the front. And then it would clear up, but it was just that first startup puff of smoke, you know? And then it wouldn't smoke anymore, you know? Like I was watching the video of that Troy-built that I did yesterday, right? And that does the same thing. Every time you start it up, there's a puff of smoke, you know? And also when you engage the PTO, there's a small puff of smoke when you do that. So that's under load, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, Well, this guy's problem was that his valve guides were a little worn, right? And so that instead of taking the whole damn thing apart, you know, to fix the valve guide or replace it or whatever, he put some of this in there. This is engine oil stop leak from my friends at Lucas Oil Products. And so basically, he put a 1 ounce to 1 gallon, 1 quart of oil that's in there. So if it takes 2 quarts of oil, we put about 2 ounces in there or something, you know. Anyway, so he ran it for a while after he applied this stuff to it, and probably mowed his lawn for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then the next day, he turned it on and no longer smoked. That puff of smoke disappeared. So this actually worked for him. And I haven't heard of any bad things about happening to the tractor since. So I'm going to try this when I get a chance on that Troy-Bilt. Another one of my most loyal subscribers, John Pruss from Tennessee, actually. Hey John, did you send me those that shaft there that took 8 days? Tennessee also. Go Volunteers. Anyway, so he told me, well, when I said yesterday at the end of the video, I said, how many episodes do you think it'll take for me to get this baby driven out, you know? Because over here at Mowers and Blowers, you push tractors in here, right? But they come out driving. He said about maybe 3 or 4 episodes. Well, I'm going to tell you how we triage this thing just from the start. I haven't done a thing to this since it rolled off the trailer when I got it, okay? So we're going to go through step by step on how I normally would triage things. For those of you who don't understand what triage means, right? Triage is a term that's used in the medical field, mostly by nurses and doctors in the field, right? When you triage things, you look at the entire scene. Let's say you got like 13 people that are in an accident or something like that. You go through the whole 13 people and you triage the priority and importance and severity of injuries, right? So we're going to go through this lawn tractor and see and gauge just how long it might take to get this going, right? So when I got this, the owner of it told me about the issues. So it does have an engine in it, right? And it is a nice engine. It's a 17.5 overhead valve engine. It's a very good engine. I've had 3 or 4 of these things, right? This is not mounted at all. It was just placed on here, okay, for transport. What he told me was that this engine shears keys all the time. So I thought maybe it's missing a washer. You don't have the right bolt on there. You know, sometimes they have the tapered bolt, and then you have another bolt that looks just regular but requires a washer. Then you have one of those bolts that already has like a washer implemented into it. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Anyway, so if that's not on super tight, right, it could shear the key every time. So he told me that it shears the key every time he put the PTO on. So under load, it shears the key. So another thing that what it could be is that the flywheel on there could have too much space. You know, if it has any kind of space in between from wear, then that might not work. It's okay. I have another flywheel that we could try if that didn't work. But it does have a starter on it. As you can see, the engine is not connected to the machine at all. This cover has to come off and be, I'm going to take it off and just check it out, you know. Or like they say in Canada, check it out. The muffler is not connected. But at least it has a muffler, you know what I mean? Gonna have to find bolts for that, which is a pain. Can't just shove any bolt in there. It's gotta be a muffler bolt, you know? Gas tank is free. It's not connected. Has no hoses. Have no idea about the whether or not the starter works. No idea whether or not the solenoid works. No idea if it has the mower deck hangers. Now, this thing did come with a deck, okay? But if you take a close look at this deck, got some issues for sure. And it looks like it's got a couple of holes in there where somebody was trying to make an attempt to patch up the holes. Yesterday when we had a visit from Bob and Larry, which is always a fun thing to do. We always have a good time when we're together. Always. And that ending we did to yesterday's video was super funny too. His girlfriend, Kristen, absolutely hates it when I say, "That thing is Dunsky." She hates that. So we decided to do a little bit of a skit, you know, and kind of give it to her a little bit. As you can see from this deck has been patched up big time. Look at this. Can you guys see that? There you go. Look at this panel. This deck was so Dunsky, right? That apparently they tried to undunsky it. Undunsky it. How about that? That's kind of cool. So he has like this sheet metal that he put on there. It looks like the similar gauge of this deck, you know, because it looks like it's part of the you know, part of the deck. It looks pretty good. So he did some weldage over here. So this deck is really not that good. You know what I mean? I could use another deck, you know. He welded this whole piece here. You know, and from the top here, did a pretty decent job because you can't even really tell, you know what I mean? Did a decent job. But, you know, with decks that have been put together like that, there's a lot of flex to it, right, originally. And then when you weld it back up again, you don't know whether or not that flex was corrected, you know? So it's yet to be determined whether or not this deck is actually going to work, but it looks like most of the pieces are here. I just need to do a little bit of welding work right there. Where's my hand? Oh. For that gaping hole. The push button to the height lever works. And as I move this up and down, the hangers are down there. They're complete and it exists. All the rods look like they're in place. And it seems pretty smooth. No issues. No rattling. Also the tranny. Usually these transmissions that are in between your legs, they always suck. Okay? Now watch this. While it's loose going up and down like that, it clicks very well right into the gear. Click, 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 click. Very smooth and crisp shifts. Crisp shifts. It's got a key. It's got an ignition. It's got a PTO lever that moves up and down, spring loaded. Turning the steering wheel seems pretty tight and precise. Like I said, all the tires hold air. It's been like this for a while. I didn't put any air in it, and it all holds air, which is really good. You can tell that this is probably the last year that they made with these sharp-cornered rear ends, the rear fender. Because in 2000, which I have one in the backyard, it's a more rounded kind. Back looks good. Looks like it has the bolts where you can put a mounting bracket to the what am I trying to say here? Bagger system. It's got a battery box. Cables are still here. They're not cut off like Nick from Medford does all the time when he gives me trackers. But beggars can't be choosers. And it doesn't have any bad rotted rust parts here. If you look at the foot panels here, there's always a lot of rust buildup right underneath this pad, the foot pads, and right along that foot rest area, a lot of it. The bolts are missing over here. Usually there's a like a platform that goes from here to there, usually that holds a battery or gas tank. The engine here, let's take this off. Yeah. We've got a better look at this now. There's the engine. So as you can see, it's got the magneto. It needs an intake manifold, the plastic kind that go over here. This is the throttle linkage with the thin wire tension that's with it. Ooh, what a bonus! Remember, I made a choke linkage in anticipation to do this, but because I didn't see it. But actually, when I'm looking at it now while triaging this engine here, is that the choke cables, the choke linkage is here. Perfect. I'm gonna put this right here on this foot thing. Don't let me forget. Man, I can't find that choke linkage.
Hey, Henry, you put it on the footrest.
Oh, yeah, thanks. This is the breather. And now we can look at some of this evidence here. There's a piece of plastic here. It looks like it might belong to another cover or something. You know what this is? This is probably from the air cleaner base. Something like that was caught on there. Here's the throttle cable, goes into here. Let's see how smooth this runs. Looks like it works as it should, spring loaded, right? Just need to attach this cable here. Gotta find some engine mounting bolts to mount this, right? I'm gonna flip this on its side since the deck is not on it. You can flip it on its side relatively easily. When you flip it on its side, you can see everything on the bottom, so we can triage if there's any issues in the bottom that we have to address prior to me mounting the engine on here. Now, when I tilt this, the engine's not mounted, so it might move, so I'm just gonna tilt it a little. Engine's moving. Choke fell down. Engine wants to come out of the... I'm just going to take a peek. Okay, so it's got the drive belt, the transmission pulley. On these Craftsmans, it's huge, but everything looks good. The brake rod is attached to the brake. All the hangers for the deck is on there. Drag link to the pinions for the steering looks good. Yeah, looks okay. Just wire hangings for the lights. Talking about the lights, there's no light assembly that goes in here. You know, the things that go in there where you put the bulb in, they're not there. You guys know how much I like lights. Now you know this engine was not part of this machine. That 17.5 engine is not the original engine on here. This had a 14.5 overhead valve original OEM engine in there. And that is the kind with the metal cover on it. You know, it's usually the red one or the black one. But this should fit on there no problem. I just need to find some mounting bolts for it, which is probably what I'm planning on doing next. And doing that is going to be a tough task because I mean, I gotta like put on surgical gloves, stick my hand in there, man. I mean, I literally have like 1,000,000 bolts, you know. But I'll find 4 bolts right now, and we've just triaged this machine, and we know that it's sound. All it needs is engine to be mounted with the accompanying parts, like, so all we need now is we need a carburetor for the 17.5s, believe it or not. Sometimes I put a Chinese Nikkei in there, a copy, and it won't run right. So it usually requires like an old Walbro or something like that, an original Walbro carburetor that's clean. That usually works pretty well. But I've got a bunch of carburetors I could try. I'm not looking forward to it, but I think we can probably get this going. I do have all the parts. Intake manifold and carburetor. Looks like that's all we need for that. Replace the throttle cable back on there, choke cable, throttle linkage, cover back on there. Now this cover is the kind that has the square filter. It requires not the U-shaped fitting, but rather the half U fitting that goes right into this hole. The other half goes to the carburetor. Here's my bin of carburetors. I've got a lot of them. Like right here. This is an original Nikkei. Has a fuel solenoid on it, which I definitely do not want. Here is an intake manifold. Gonna need some studs to put there, like that. There's another intake manifold that I could use too. Now remember, the seal, this has it on here even though you can't see it, it's dirty. But that orange rubber seal needs to go on there. That's very important to give it a good seal. Oh man, do I not have, so look, this is the U kind, right? The U kind is for the engine covers that have the cylindrical filter, right? We can't use this one for that because it's made for the rectangular filter. And do I not have one of those? Because that's going to be a problem. Oh, look. I've got another one with the studs. That's good. Use that. Here's another original Nikkei. You know it's original because it's not the shiny bowl and it says Nikkei on it. Another intake manifold, but I don't have that half a U-shaped thing to attach to the engine cover. That's not good. Ooh, what's this? That's it! Here it is! Scores! Has an O-ring on there too. And basically it goes on like that, see? This half a U thing goes into the hole, into the cover. Carburetor goes in like that. And there's the assembly right there. So good. We've got all we need to put the carburetor on. I knew I had enough to do that because I've got a lot of parts here, you know. Now here, this is a Chinese Nikkei. You can tell the difference right here. Because Nikkei always has a hole on the bottom here, the original ones for a fuel solenoid. The Chinese copied ones, right? They think like I do. Get rid of that fuel solenoid. Useless and it causes problems, right? They just sealed it. No fuel solenoid, right? So this saves a step, you know what I mean? Like if I decided to use the original Nikkei, I'll just put this copied cup on the bottom and I wouldn't have to cut this valve on the fuel solenoid. See? You know what? I might try this one first because look, this carburetor looks like it's in like almost new condition, you know? This one, and it's already attached to this. This thing's like good to go, look. I can just find some 7/16 screws, put that on. I'm gonna find an O-ring for this. right? Take one from one of those. There you go. This is my assembly for the engine. This is another original Nicky. So I've got enough to do some good damage here. Oh, look at that, guys. You know what that is? This is an original Walbro. If all else fails, you clean this one up, and maybe the original Walbro will work right. It all depends on how the holes are OEM drilled, you know what I mean? Because 17.5 horsepower and higher, the Walbros really work well because the holes are drilled just right. Some of these copied Nickies, the jet holes are drilled so small, they're designed for like the original engine on that machine, the 14.5, 13.5 horsepower ones, they run right. But when you go to 17 horsepower, it requires more fuel, it doesn't run right. So, believe it or not, guys, this is actually what I do every time I get a new tractor, is I triage everything to see exactly what I'm going to need. I get all the parts ready to go, and then I go to town on it, you know what I mean? I'm actually kind of looking forward to this because it doesn't look like that it's going to take too much to get this going. But every time I say that, what happens? 9 episodes. But we're not going to count this one as an episode because, well, actually you have to because I'm going to mount the engine. I'm going to find some bolts now. Hopefully I'll find them before that Oklahoma game starts. As you guys saw, I had a dickens of a time finding all the screws and bolts that I needed. I did end up getting those. I knew that those are the ones that I may or will need. I was taking a dickens of a time looking for the muffler bolts. It's very difficult to find the muffler bolts, but you know when you found them when you see it, you know? It looks different. So I put the engine on its back so I could fit the bolts in just to make sure that it fit. While I was doing that, I noticed something that's a little troubling. So look, I was moving this around, and look when I move the flywheel. This top blower fan, plastic blower fan is not on there right because it's loose. So I might have to take this off and see exactly why it's loose. But as long as the flywheel's not loose, it's okay. But it's supposed to fit snug on there, you know. I'm gonna try to fit the mounting bolts in there. So I just got 3 out of the 4 bolts in there, the mounting bolts. And for me to tighten it, right, I'm going to put this on its side again and see if I have better access to it. And that way I can tighten them without, you know, with the impact on its side. Also, there's the 4th bolt that I can't get in because there's like a metal plate on the bottom. I'm trying to balance it on this chair over here on the fender. Crack. No, that's all right. I'm gonna try to get you better here. All right, it's almost kickoff time for the Oklahoma Baylor game. I haven't even taken a dump yet. Can you believe that? So after I did this, right? You could get access when you put the brake pedal and lock it, because then it gives you some room. I'm not even sure if this one goes in there. Yeah, it is the one. Because there's several hole patterns, right?
Don't strip it, Henry. You stripped a lot of bolts lately.
Yes, I know I stripped a lot of bolts. Stop reminding me. Damn it. Man, it's a lot easier to do it from the bottom. Yeah! The engine is officially mounted. And you know what? That was one of the easiest engine mounting occasions I've ever had. That was really easy, bros. Bros! So look. Now the belt goes over here, see? Yeah, the belt goes over here, see? Stella! What the hell did... I know Larry was playing with that pulley yesterday. Oh, there it is. Oh, great. Now I gotta go find a... Now I gotta go find a pulley, a crankshaft to bolt. Alright. So this is the original pulley. Typical Briggs & Stratton one. For the opposed twins, the bottom pulley for the deck is a little bit bigger in diameter and also a little bit longer. But I think actually the crankshaft pulley is smaller. There's 2 kinds that I've seen. It differs from the Tecumsehs and the MTD ones too. And why doesn't it feel like it fits? Find that key. Ah, there we go. Problem is these keepers are in the way. They're always in the way. Rotation to get the belt over on the pulley, and it's on! Oh, is that how much it goes in? Is it in all the way? Yeah, it's in all the way. Are you sure? Because I don't feel anything. It's in all the way, okay? It's in. I did check on that YouTube thing. My videos are not intended for children. Okay. So next thing I gotta do is find a crankshaft bolt for that. Good luck. So I was lucky. I found, I believe, the right crankshaft bolt. Found a washer that fits perfectly. You know, you don't want too much space or any play in it, right? Fits exactly over there. So hopefully this will work. I hope it's long enough to get it in there. So after 2 years of having my YouTube channel, I get my first racial motivated comment. I think he was watching my Chinese clone snowblower video, and he wrote on the comments, it's from China where you're from. Go back to China. So, you know, in this recent misogynistic, racial motivated environment we're in these days, right? I don't take that to heart. I've had a lot more other attacks when I was younger, you know. But, so it's, I just wrote, China? I'm from Oklahoma. They're playing Baylor in like 10 minutes. But I just deleted it. I don't need any racial comments on my page, you know what I mean? It just promotes hate. Anyway, thought I'd just throw that tidbit in there. It's pretty good, though. Most of my comments are positive, you know. You're going to get like maybe 5% or something like that where they don't agree with you or they're negative comments. And then there's just jackasses who, you know, from one of them Confederate states, you know, who don't like people other than white people. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm cool with it. It's all right. Pretty good ratio, though, you know? 99.8% of all the people that comment are all good, positive comments. I mean, well, not all good, positive comments, but, you know, not racially motivated, you know? So that's pretty good. Tide might be changing. All right. So that's Coolidge. Very Coolidge, man. Surprised how much I got done. You know, it didn't seem like I got all that much done, but honestly, that's pretty good, man. We mounted the engine today. We've got the deck pulley on there with the right bolts. Drive cable looks good. Everything that we inspected down here, as you can see. The hangers for the deck is on here. Everything else seems to be sound. My next episode, part 2 of my Craftsman, I guess it's an LT1000. Episode 2 will be putting the carburetor assembly onto the engine that we just mounted. Checking out the situation with the flywheel, why this moves like that, right? It may have something to do with Wyatt Shear's keys. Everything else looks good. Going to put the cover on the intake manifold, the carburetor, the air cleaner base that goes onto the end of the carburetor, air filter cover, breather hose. We're going to put the throttle cable onto the throttle assembly, the choke linkage as well. And we're going to find a battery. This doesn't have a battery. Then the fuel lines to the fuel tank, right? And then connect the starter cable to the starter, right? Look at that. What else do we need? That's right, we need a oil reservoir, oil drain plug or oil reservoir. Because if you dump oil in there, it'll just come right out. The wiring harness. I'm going to find a wiring harness. I got plenty of them. Here's the stator wire. You can tell just from the color, it being red and black. This is a dual circuit stator. The red one goes directly to the battery. There's a diode underneath here. The diode is there so it prevents voltage from going back to the stator again and frying it. Put the tins back on along with the cover. Everything else looks pretty good, man. And then after we put the battery on, we're going to give her a crank to see whether or not the solenoid works. And I know the solenoid's probably in there, which is a lot better than the MTDs were there in there. So that's today's episode. Triaging this LT1000 lawn tractor and mounting the engine and the drive and mower deck pulley, and you know, pretty good progress. It took a long time for me to find the right bolts for it, you know, and that's what happens when you get a tractor that you don't know the history behind. You have to triage what's wrong with it, what you're gonna need, get all the elements together that you know you're gonna need, and then just go to town on it, you know. But thanks a lot for joining me this morning. wish me luck on Oklahoma beating Baylor for the Big 12 championship. That's what they said, is that the 4th spot is going to belong to the winner of the Big 12. So either Baylor wins or Oklahoma wins. You'll see what happens. I really hope my boys make it. But, you know, even if they didn't make it, it's okay. You know why? Because I don't think Oklahoma could get past LSU or Ohio State. You know, I've seen those two teams. They're juggernauts. I mean, unstoppable. And Oklahoma hasn't really been looking very good lately. But it'll be a very fun afternoon for me, because to watch that game would be fabulous. And then following that, LSU playing Georgia. Now, if some crazy reason Georgia beats LSU, well, then I don't think Oklahoma or Baylor's getting in, you know. But thanks a lot for following me along on episode 1 of this 1999 Craftsman Lt1000 lawn tractor. I got it through a trade, and we pushed it into this garage. Hopefully, after what my friend John said, right? Oh, by the way, follow John over at Turning Wrenches 85 on Instagram. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.
Hey guys, support my channel. Buy a sticker. Also, follow me on Instagram at Mowers Blowers. Check out my website, mowersblowers.com. See you guys on my next project. Have a great day.
Hey Henry, see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.